Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly.
Welcome to another episode of the Mrmindfulminute podcast, where we touch on different things, on different areas of life, on how we could go from a nothing place to a something place. And today we are touching on financial wellness. And we have a special guest. I am going to let her introduce herself. Please tell the people who you are and where you're from.
Sure. So my name is Jorday Allen. I am a tax expert as well as one of the co-founders of In the Moment Financial Services. A little bit about me is I actually am a year and a half out of corporate America. So a year and a half ago, I walked away from my corporate job and I decided to become a full-time entrepreneur, and I helped co-found In the Moment Financial Services.
Ah, beautiful. You know, I just want to thank you for being somebody that is really helping bring awareness to people when it comes to their financial well-being, because it's very important. That's not something that we get taught in school.
Yes, right.
You know, so let me ask you this. How did you actually get started on this process of really helping people with finances?
Great. So one of the things that really, I think, broke my heart, for lack of a better term, was that I noticed that so many other communities outside of the minority community understood finances at a young age. So for us in the minority community, we don't talk about at our dinner tables, we don't talk about credit. We don't talk about savings. We don't talk about entrepreneurship. The last thing I remember talking about at the dinner table is, what college are you going to go to, right? What college are you going to go to, and what are you going to be when you grow up? We talk about those things, but we don't really talk about owning property. We don't talk about generational wealth. We don't talk about that at our dinner table. So that really is what prompted me to just become more financial literate myself. And then once I saw the freedom that it brought me, and how many others around me lacked that information, I just wanted to share that information. So it started with me sharing that information freely, and giving other people the opportunity to understand how credit and their tax situation can actually bring them into financial freedom.
Wow. Now, see, like you said, that is not something that we talk about. You know, we really lack that as a community, being a minority community, right? And so it's just a beautiful thing where, you know, people like yourself are bringing that awareness to people.
Yeah.
Because the information is what's going to give people the opportunity to change their situation. Because I know a lot of people say information changes situations, right? But no, not necessarily. If you don't take advantage of that information, it's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I'm finding, especially with this era we're living in, where social media takes all of this wonderful information and puts it right at your fingertips. For so long in the minority community, we have technically lacked resources. And now we're at a point where we can no longer use it as an excuse. It's no longer the excuse of, hey, we didn't have access to information. The information is right at your fingertips. And more often than not, some people are giving it away for free. I'm one of them who gives this information away for free. So I can say that it's a little disheartening when you find out that our community is still not going after and grabbing all of that information that's being given to them, whether it's about credit, taxes, business plan, entrepreneurship, you name it. The information is there. Now we just need our community to wake up mentally wake up and be able to go after and grab that information. And some of us have, but there's a large majority of us that our mind is still truly still trained exactly the way this country wants our mind to be trained, which is go to school, get into debt, get a job out, and pay us taxes. That's how they want us to be trained. And unfortunately, a lot of our minds are still there. So I'm just hoping to be able to share information with people to help them open up their mind a little bit about how money can benefit them by using taxes and credit.
All right. So with that being said, what's some myths that a lot of people you have noticed that a lot of people are not aware of?
I can specifically, I'll talk to taxes and credit. So let's talk to taxes first. Um, Taxes, the biggest myth I hear is that having a 1099 or being self-employed is bad. That means that you automatically owe the government. So most people think that if they have a 1099 or if they are self-employed, that it's a bad thing and they're going to owe all this money so they don't file their taxes. That's a myth. The reality is you just need to hook up with a tax preparer who's educated and understands how to use the tax code to benefit you. So more often than not, I don't know if people know, but in your first 3 years of business, you can actually take something called a business loss. And with a business loss, that actually allows you to not pay taxes. So whereas somebody who goes to work, clocks in every day, they make $50,000, and because they pay taxes on their 50,000, they actually only bring home 35. Well, you as a business owner, you make your 50,000, and you don't pay taxes on it. You actually bring home the 50,000 when you're taking a loss on your business. So that's one myth, that when you own a business, that means you automatically owe taxes. That's not true. The second myth is credit. So I know me, growing up, I was always taught that a credit card is not a good thing. Having a credit card normally means that you don't have the money. Let me give you a prime example. If you go to a dinner table with a bunch of black people and somebody pulls out a credit card, the first thought is, why is she using a credit card? Why is she not using her debit card? You know, it's like, why does she not have the money? She got to put this on the credit, right? You go to a table with all white people sitting at the table, and someone pulls out a debit card, they look at you the exact opposite way. Why is he pulling out a debit card? Why does he have an Amex? He don't have the money, right? So it's our mentality towards credit. So the myth is that a credit card is a bad thing. The myth is that a credit card means you don't have the money in your checking account or you're borrowing money. That's not necessarily true. I use the credit card for everything. I don't know where my debit card is. I use my credit card for every single thing, but I'm not in debt, right? So it just depends on how you use that credit to your advantage. So those are the two biggest myths I feel like in the minority community: 1099s and credit is bad.
Well, you just dropped some knowledge on me that I'm like, whoa, wait, I didn't even know this information, right? And so I just believe that, that's very intricate, because in order for us to change our situation, not only do we have to get the knowledge, we have to also unlearn the myths so we can actually start learning the reality to a lot of things. And what you're actually helping people to do is say, no, this is not true. Learn this information and stop believing what they actually told you was the truth, and start adopting this new idea, because this is actually going to help you to get the financial awareness and also the financial freedom that you want to have, because financial freedom comes with not owing somebody consistently over a long period of time. And so let's ask this question, because a lot of people, they have roadblocks, right? So what are some roadblocks that people may have when it comes to financial literacy and trying to build their business? What are some roadblocks people tend to have?
The first roadblock, the first thing that popped in my head is your environment and what you're feeding yourself. So the people that are around you and what they're talking about absolutely directly affects how you think and how you view money. If you're hanging around people that think it's okay to not have good credit, or people who think it's okay to not own property, or people that think it's okay to not file your taxes, then that's going to be the stereotype in your head. That's the roadblock right there. It's your mindset, and your mindset comes directly from what you're feeding yourself. Think about you hanging around people who pay their taxes and people who know that the tax code can actually benefit them. You're hanging around people that are always talking about credit. Like you look bad if you're the person that's not talking about credit. Or say you're hanging around people that everybody around you has ownership in properties. They don't just rent. It's going to make you level up. It forces you to level up. I think social media can tend to be a roadblock when people use it in a negative way. I use social media personally to level up. So right now, if I just look around my normal friends, I could easily look around and say, oh, I'm doing good. I own my own business. I own 4 properties. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it'll make me feel like I'm really winning in life, right? But that's because I'm comparing myself to people that are directly around me. So what I do on my social media feed is I only fill myself with people that are doing better than me, so that I'm constantly receiving that message of like, yo, sis, you still got more work to do. And it forces me to think, so my credit score is like a 780, something, I don't know, close to 800. And I might think I'm winning. But the minute I hop on my timeline, I find out that I'm not winning at all. I still got work to do to get to that 850. So I feed myself stuff that's going to make me realize that I still have work to do. So I think that's the biggest roadblock for people is their mindset of who they hang around with and what they're allowing in their ear. When it comes to starting your own business, the biggest roadblock I think is that people have a huge idea in their head and they're so focused on the end goal that they don't understand the baby steps that it takes to get started. So 2 things to that. One is I normally offer sessions where I help people break down that end goal. For example, flipping houses. Some people get so caught up on how much they can make from flipping a house that they're not even thinking about how to get the money today to make the down payment to even buy the house, to even flip the house. Right? I'm so caught up in, yo, I'm gonna go get this house, I'm gonna buy this house, we're gonna flip it, we're gonna do this. Okay, but where's the down payment money? What you doing today to get the down payment money to save it up? Like you so focused on the angle, or I'm gonna build this business, I'm gonna do this is where I wanna be, but what are you doing today to pay your bills today, to make a profit today? That blows my mind often that our entrepreneurs get so caught up on the end goal. So I think that would be another roadblock that people get in their way of just focusing on the end picture and not realizing what you need to do today.
Now, see, it's very interesting that you're saying that because I know for myself being in entrepreneurship,
Yep.
right? Looking into getting property and things like that, I always say, well, all right, what is the end goal? Like
Yep,
I think
you
of
need
that,
Yep.
but then I say, all right, well, I need to think about the end goal and then see everything I need to do in order to work towards it. So I need to take those steps at the beginning in order to get there. So yeah, you do have to say, well, how am I going to get the money to actually start getting the down payment? Not, oh man, I'm gonna make this much money from doing X, Y, and Z. Well, you ain't gonna never make that money if you don't get started, right?
Correct.
And like you even said, the people that you have around you. So not believing that, oh man, I need to be the smartest person in the room.
Yep.
Not
Another
saying.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, another example I can talk about from a female perspective, starting a hair salon. Oh, I want to start a hair salon, right? So I'm looking for properties. I'm doing this. I'm trying to, look for influencers to advertise my business. I'm looking for this, doing all this. Okay, but what are you doing today to make a profit so that you can have a down payment, so that you can pay a mortgage on this hair salon that you want? And you get so caught up that you're still doing the same amount of money that you've always been doing the same amount of hair, never leveled up in the amount of clients that you took. And so now it takes 5 years for you to get this building instead of coming up with a plan today to make that money. You could do it in a year.
And so that's what you are, you're really helping people to see how they can actually level up. Yep. So they can get to that next place, that next goal. So what is like a pivot point that somebody can actually say, all right, you know what, I need to start making that shift so I can actually start getting to that goal that I actually want to meet?
Yeah, everybody's pivot point is different. For me, I'll say for me, it had to be mentorship. Anytime that you get on a coaching session with me, that's the first thing I want to be preaching all day heavy, because I've watched the success that it has had in my life. And when I'm talking about mentorship, there's all kind of mentors, and I'm sure you know this because you're a coach. There's all kind of mentors, right? So I'm not saying you need one mentor. I'm saying you might need 3, 4, or 5. It depends on your personality. It depends on what you need. Some of your mentors might be accessible, and some might not be accessible. They might not even know you, and they're mentoring you, right? But that mentorship is crucial for the amount of time that it's going to take your business to skyrocket. So the difference between the person that takes 5 years to start a business and the person that kills it, and all of a sudden you look up and you say, didn't you start a year ago? The difference between the two is mentorship. because that mentorship was able to help you overcome a lot of hurdles and expensive mistakes that you would have made. When I started my tax business, I had to get under someone who already did it and was killing it so that they could help me not waste a ton of time looking up insurances and licenses that I didn't need and help me save a lot of money that I would have spent making expensive mistakes. So I think that pivotal point is you being able to connect with someone who's already doing what you want to do and you willing to, take in that information and apply it.
Okay, so like if I'm asking myself this question, I'm like, all right, well, I know that I want to start this business, but I know that I don't really understand taxes. All right, I didn't got this information, but I'm trying to do so many other things because people tend to believe, well, I can't do all of this over here if I'm trying to focus on this right here. So
Yeah.
help me to understand, should it be a situation where people really knows at least the basics to taxes and finances so they can actually grow their business to get to the next level?
Either you know the basics or you hook up with a professional who does. I am one of those people that will preach all day that it's important to stay in your lane, what you're gifted in. The minute you start shifting lanes is the minute you start forgetting a zero here and forgetting this here, right? So selfish plug, but that's what I do. I am a business consultant. So my whole mission is to take what you have, the huge idea in your head, and break it down into actionable steps. So the person that is not working at all and has all day long to spend on their business, well, their action steps are going to look a little bit different than the single mom who still is working 40 hours and trying to do her business on the side, right? So my job is to take your idea, break it down into actionable steps, and follow up with you every 30 days to push your business forward. And so what I would say is the person that doesn't understand the basics about business taxes and the basics about business credit is hook up with a professional. And yes, there are going to be times that you have to pay for that. Hook up with a professional that can actually help move your business forward so that you're not spinning your wheels and you're not looking up 2 years from now and saying, dang, I didn't really do much with my business. I get that all the time. I've had my LLC for 2 years. I've had my LLC for 5 years, haven't done anything. It's because you haven't connected with a professional that can actually push your business forward.
Now, see, that is very, very important because if you have the resources, right? So as you said, you have an LLC, you have this business, but your business ain't seeing no growth. And you like, well, where do I go next? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And what you're saying is, yo, just because you can do it, don't mean that you should do it. Go and get some help. Go and get mentorship from somebody else that has already done it or is killing the game. So now they can actually help you not take as long or make the mistakes that they probably already made.
There you go. And you have, and I'm speaking to my people now, my culture, my people. Y'all, we got to pay for some stuff. Like, we have to pay for some information. In every single lane, last year, 2020, Victor, was a year like no other for me. I don't know what happened. I know I quit my job. I know I started a tax company. I know I bought 4 properties. I know I became a landlord. I wrote a book. Where did this come from? I got under people who were already in that lane and I begged them for information. And did they charge me? They did. Did I already make my money back 3, 4, 5, 10 times? Absolutely. So yes, we are going to have to pay for some information, and that's okay. But I think that's like a stigma in our culture that we just want someone to give us something for free, and the minute someone charges for information, they feel like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's okay.
And I think that a lot of people tend to find themselves, very afraid of what it will look like if I pay for this. If I didn't pay anything for it, then it's cool. And the problem with that is that mindset that we'll tend to have because you actually are lacking belief in your own capabilities. So now when we actually start saying, you know what, I'm going to pay for this, I'm going to start taking ownership in what I actually do. It necessarily has nothing to do with nobody else. So now the information that I'm paying for, I'm investing into me. So I'm not really investing into you. I'm investing into me. And the reason that I made this investment into you is because I saw what you were doing and I believed what you were doing for free first. And now I'm like, actually, you know what? This is actually going to benefit me. And
Absolutely.
so when we start adopting this mindset, we really start to make that shift. But we can't adopt that mindset until we start saying to ourselves, I believe that I can make this happen, because in our community, we don't believe that we can make it happen because it's very rare that we see other people like us doing it. Because as you said earlier, we have around us people that is not doing it. We have nothing around us that is saying, it looks like me and I can actually do this too. Because the 10 people that are connected to me, they're not doing what I'm thinking I can actually do. There's one person that may be doing it. And that one person kind of is like, oh, well, that's an anomaly.
Yep.
I don't think that I could do it.
Yep.
And so when we actually start looking into learning this information and seeking help into changing that mindset, like you said, you got with multiple mentors and you said, you know what, I'm going to invest into me. So now when I start making these ventures, it doesn't matter what's happening around me, because I'm still going to move, because you did this stuff in 2020, which COVID was going on.
Exactly. And I attribute it all the time. I say, listen, I'll tell you right now, I would not have done any of this had I not got underneath a mentor. And I want to clarify again, two of my 3 mentors, I actually didn't even have access to. So I shout them out all the time, and that's how they know that they mentored me, but they don't know they mentored me. So guys, it doesn't always have to be someone that you can call on the phone and ask a question. That's awesome if you can, but that's not real life right now. Maybe you don't have somebody like that in your life. So the question I ask you is, how quickly are you able to pivot? I challenged my team with that the other day. How long does it take you to pivot? Do you wait 6 months until something's not working? Do you wait 3 years of something not working to say, oh shoot, I need to change up? Or do you know how to quickly pivot? Do you know how to find out 7 days in or 2 days in or a couple hours into your day, like, hey, this plan isn't working, I need to switch up the plan? And that's what I found for me, that before I left corporate America, I was great. I was killing it. I was making a 6-figure salary, had a company car, like I was good. But what I realized is something's not right. I'm not being fulfilled. God put me on this earth to do way more than this. And on top of that, the dollar amount that I'm making is 2% of what the people above me are making. I'm only getting a small chunk. So what are they making? Right? So once I realized that as much as I looked like I had a seat at the table, I really didn't. I decided I was going to buy my own table.
I like that.
You know what I mean? I had to change my mindset. Like, I don't want a seat at the table anymore. I'd rather just own it. Y'all can stay sitting at the table. I'm good. I don't need a seat no more.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this question. Is there a direct connection to how much we focus on being entertained and learning about our fitness? Like, is there a connection with that? Like, so like, for example, if a person say, man, I really spend most of my time on entertainment, I don't really spend that much time on learning about X, Y, and Z. Is there a connection between the two?
I think with that question, I think it really depends about what the person wants. And I hope that I'm answering your question okay. But I think it's really about what the person wants. I'm learning that there's actually people who don't want this information. and as much as I want to be heartbroken about it and disappointed, there's some people that don't want more. And that goes a little bit deeper. That's probably another podcast for another time. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about what that person wants. And so I have people around me that rather spend time on PlayStation or rather spend time chilling, talking, busting it up, or sleeping or Netflixing, and that's cool. But by all means, that's not what I want, because I don't want to be working at 50. I don't want to be working at 60. I'm good. So my mind has to be shifted. My mind has to be on things that are going to help me level up now, and that entertainment, that's going to come. So really, I think it depends about what you want. I hope that answered the question.
Oh, no, absolutely. Because when we start realizing that it's literally about what we want, and with my coaching, like I always tell people, like grabbing greatness is different for everybody. So like greatness for me is not greatness for you.
Yep.
And so once a person understands, like, you know what, this is what I want, and that's not what I want. And that's okay.
Yep, it's okay.
But be honest with yourself about it. And then we can't actually be complaining If we're saying, oh man, I don't want that, but I'm going to complain about where I'm at. All right, then you really don't want that. Then you really just don't want to do the work that it takes in order for you to get what you truly want. So you're using that as an excuse to say, no, I really don't want that. But if you are content, listen, I tell people, look, if you good, then no problem. But if you're not truly good, then actually start doing the work that it takes. And you're going to have to do some type of investing. You're going to have to actually get some help. So how can a person make it practical to take the steps to start doing better with their taxes? Because it really is difficult for a lot of people, even with a person just now starting a business. Like, how can they make that very practical?
Yeah, so there's a couple tools that are online that are free for you to use, such as QuickBooks Self-Employed. That's an app that I started off using because I didn't know what was going on. So I downloaded that app, and it helped me to start managing my books and managing my expenses and my income. So that's one way to do it. I know this might be the elephant in the room, but this is my go-to answer: hook up with a tax professional. So our consultations are free. That's something that we pride ourselves on in the Moment Financial Services. Hook up with a tax professional that can at least guide you in the right direction. Everybody's situation is different. So what I tell you, as a small business owner, and what somebody that just has a W-2, they're going to be two different answers of what they need to start doing to put themselves in a better tax position. So the best advice I can have is hook up with a tax professional. What I find is communities outside of minority communities all have accountants in their family. And it didn't really ding on me until I was at a Black History Fair last year, and a white lady came to my table. She took one of my cards and saying that she was going to have me work on her taxes. So I was already like, okay, no problem. And then once I quoted her my price, she wanted to tell me that her family accountant was just going to do them. And I said, oh, you had an accountant the whole time, then why did you come to me? And she goes, oh, I just wanted to see what your price was. Interesting, right? So it made me start thinking, like, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, most white families have an accountant in the family. And if it's not a blood person, it's someone that they know who works on their taxes. They don't typically just go to a random H&R Block or a Jackson Hewitt. They have someone in the family that works on their taxes, and we don't have that. So just connecting with a tax professional so that you can start learning the literacy, learning the lingo, learning what's going on this year with the tax code would definitely benefit you just to start understanding that language.
So is there any type of differences that, like, say, because you already spoke on it, you said the conversation with the person with a W-2 and the conversation with the person with a 1099 is going to be different. So what if a person actually is doing both?
Yep.
Is that conversation different also?
Yep, that's the best scenario. So right now, the way the tax code is shaped, it is highly, highly in favor of self-employed individuals. And that's because we have President Trump in office. So as you know, he's a business owner. So the tax code was 100% in favor of business owners. Well, there's a ton of young Black entrepreneurs who are also business owners, and we can take advantage of that tax code as well. There's not too many things that I can go into quickly on a podcast, but just know that the tax code is highly in favor of small business owners right now. So if you don't have a tax professional you're dealing with, I highly recommend getting to know one because you're missing out on thousands of dollars. Having that W-2 is just a plus. So the W-2 plus the 1099 or plus the self-employed income is the best combination to maximize your refund.
Wow. That's something that a lot of people definitely did not know. Nope. And as you already spoke on it, really learning the lingo.
Yep.
And if you're not willing to take the time to learn the lingo, go and talk to somebody who could translate the lingo for you, right?
There you go.
So somebody like yourself, you go make the translation for them. Like, you know what? I don't understand this. This is not English, but I know you can make that translation for me, and you're definitely going to help me. So how can a person find you and get services from you so they can actually start learning this information or just get your help?
Yeah. So the easiest way to do it is by going to our website. On our website, we offer free consultations. So our website is www.ninthemoment101.com. So again, our website is www.ninthemoment101.com. inthemoment101.com. And on that website, you click book free consultation, and all of our different consultations pop up: taxes, credit, business, LLC formation, bookkeeping, you name it. We're going to hop on a Zoom call, or you can come in person, and we're going to talk for 30 minutes and advise you on whatever your situation is. That's the best way. If you just want free information on a daily basis, our social media handle is ITM Financial Services. So on Instagram, it's at ITM, M as in Mary, Financial Services. And on there, we give out a ton of free credit information and a ton of free tax information. And then also on my personal page at Jorday Allen, JARDEALLEN. Every single day, I'm on there pushing entrepreneurship, giving out free motivational advice, as well as tax and credit advice.
Look, I just want to say thank you for actually sharing this information with people, because you're actually changing people's lives with this information. Because if you don't have the information, you don't have the access. If you don't have, if you don't know the lingo, then you're going to be lost in the sauce. And what you're doing is you are bridging that gap for people to not only know the language, but if they are not willing to actually learn the language, you're actually willing to be that translation person for them.
Yes.
So I definitely appreciate what you're doing. So continue to do what you're doing.
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control how you feel. So control your feelings.